Guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to preface this video that you may hear some things in the background, so I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to do another name block tutorial, this time for a person that commented on my video. Her name is Jocelyn. So I'm going to go ahead and do her name, and then after that, I'm also going to do all the letters of the alphabet, which I feel will be helpful for anybody that wants to create this name block on their own. So first thing is first, we are going to create a new file and we are going to just use the square. Then from here, I'm going in and changing the background color to black and adding in our first layer. I am going in with a white pencil and turning on my grid. You can do that in the settings over there with the little wrench. I'm going in and just doing an 8x8 square. You can see that I'm kind of like counting as I'm drawing, and then once you hold it, it'll make that perfect square for you. And then the little thing will pop up on top to edit the shape. Just make sure it says square. Then from here, I am just kind of repositioning to make sure that it lines up correctly to where I want it to. And then I'm writing in Jocelyn's name, so I have a reference to make sure that I do every letter and I spell it correctly. Then we're zooming back out and creating a new layer. I do each letter in a layer, and before I do that, I'm going back to layer 1, clicking that little N and turning down the opacity. From here, I'm going to start with my letter J. I'm actually going in and just putting in some dots so I can reference where the middle of the square is and the middle of the circle that I'm about to draw is going to be, and I just want to make sure that those points connect. So I actually added a new layer, and on top of that, I'm drawing my circle. Again, you can see that edit shape up top. Just make sure it says circle, and you can reposition it to make sure that everything looks good. From there, I'm going in with an eraser and I'm just erasing the parts of the J that I don't need. So if you can kind of tell, I'm doing the bottom half of the J and it's gonna pull all the way to the top in the middle. So then I'm going in and drawing the middle part of the J. So there is our first letter for Jocelyn. Now we're gonna go in with our O. Just make sure you hit every point of this circle that you want the O to touch, and then we reposition, make sure the shape is circle, and resize, do everything that we need. For the C, I'm actually duplicating the letter O and just erasing the parts of the O that we don't need to make a C. So if you can see, I'm going up top and up bottom, and I am just going in and erasing the right half of this O to make a C. So there's our C. Now we're gonna go in and do the letter E. This one's pretty simple because they're all straight lines. So I'm going in with the top, the left, and the bottom, and then drawing in my middle halfway, just so you can distinguish that it's an E. And then I cleaned it up on the side there. Now we go in with the L. I am not making an L because if you see here, the E already has an L in it. I chose the wrong color because it's kind of hard to see, but there's already an L in there. So I'm not gonna do an L. Now we're going in to do the Y, and we start from the middle, go down, and then just making sure that the J and that line match up perfectly, and we draw the top of our Y. Now I go in and I'm going to create the N. Super simple with this one as well. We're gonna go from the top up and then down the middle diagonally. I'm actually checking that E first. I noticed it was looking a little bit thicker when I added them both together, so now they're lining up perfectly. Then we're gonna go down with our diagonal and then connect it up top on the the right hand side. So here is our name block, and I just turned off that very first layer and I'm adding the rest of the layers in. I'm also going to add our text. So I'm going in, typing in her name, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit edit style. On that right hand side, I turned everything to capital, and then that is the font that I'm using. And I just reposition it using the selection tool and just bringing it down, making sure it lines up correctly. And then I noticed here that there was a little bit of misalignment down at the bottom. So I went into each respective letter and just kind of moved it up. If you use the selector tool, you can actually kind of zoom out, and then if you tap up top, it'll move it ever so slightly. So I did that with the letters that I needed to move, like the J, tapping the top just ever so slightly, and then you can see that everything's kind of lined up the way that I want it to. So this is Jocelyn's nameplate. Now I'm going in and adding a new layer and turning the entire thing black. And then I'm doing a little reveal just for fun. So we're taking the eraser and just kind of erasing to show the final product. So this is Jocelyn's name in the name block. But now I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you every single letter in the alphabet so you can create this on your own. So we're going in back to that first layer, erasing her name, and what I needed to do was start a new layer, but I didn't. So you'll see that I noticed and I went back and created a new layer there. Just make sure you're doing every letter in a layer so you can manipulate them when you need to. So A is super simple. As you can see, you just want to make sure that you hit all those points. Make sure everything kind of just matches. B is a fun one because it has those curves. The curved letters are the hardest. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a circle, making sure that everything matches up where I want it to. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to my layers and I'm going to duplicate this circle. You'll see in just a second. There we go. So now we move that second one down that I just duplicated, making sure everything lines up, moving things ever so slightly where needed. And then we're going to erase the parts that we don't need. I'm actually combining those two and then using my eraser tool to just erase, again, everything that we don't need. From there, I am turning it on its side and we are going to draw our lines downward. So here is our line in the middle. Right there, I'm trying to make it as seamless as possible. That is just personal preference. I try to make everything super particular. So as you can see, it took me a couple tries to do it, but again, it doesn't have to be so perfect because you're gonna zoom out eventually. So here is the top and we're gonna do at the bottom and then we bring down the side. So this is gonna be our B. Next, we already have our C, so I'm bringing that down and then we're going to make the D. What I'm gonna do for the D is I'm gonna duplicate the letter C and I'm going to go down in our bottom tool. You can go to your selector and flip horizontal. And then you can move it over to the side and then you draw the rest of your D. So super simple. A lot of it you can use old letters to create the new ones. So I like that a lot. Next, we're gonna go in and do our E, which we already have. F, which is very similar to E, is just gonna go up top, on the side, and in the middle. So here is our F. Now I'm making the letter G, so if you saw, I duplicated the letter O, and I'm going in and manipulating what I don't need. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase the parts of the O that I won't need to make the G. And I noticed at first that this G looked a little funky, so I decided to go back and just change it up. So it's essentially gonna be the same thing, but I am taking back that line and instead of doing it right in the middle, I'm doing it more so at an angle. So we're doing that here, drawing our line, and that looks much better. Here's our G. Next is our H, super simple with this one, just on the side, right down the middle, and on the other side. There's our H. I is super simple as well, just a straight line down the middle. For some reason, it was off center for me, so I just used my selector tool and I moved it over. J is already done, so we're gonna go ahead and do our K. So here is our side, and then our top line and bottom line. Next is L, probably one of the easiest along with I. We love the easy ones, don't we? Next, we're gonna go in with our M. So we're just gonna do our side line, meet right back in the middle, go back up to the top right corner, and then our side line. N is already complete, O is already complete, and then we're gonna go in and do our P. So P, again, we're gonna start with our circle, and we're gonna make sure it is a circle, move it around, have it exactly where we need it to be, and then erase what we don't need. So a similar trend in all of our curved letters. I would just say that for all our curved letters, we're gonna start with some sort of circle and manipulate it to be the letter that you want it to be. So here is our P. Next is our Q, super simple. We're just gonna duplicate that circle O and then draw a line for our Q. Next, our R, we're just gonna duplicate the P and draw a line to make our R. It's funny to say together. S, this is a fun one. So here we go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make a circle on the top half, make sure everything lines up. We're gonna keep it in between those 4 little squares. We're gonna duplicate this circle and we're going to move that second one down. Then from there, we're gonna make sure everything lines up, go back to our layers and combine those 2. From here, we're going to erase what we don't need. So just envision the shape of an S and just erase where you need. So I went ahead and erased this portion, and now I'm going on the left side and erasing that portion. Again, you just wanna try to make your lines as smooth as possible, but again, it's gonna be zoomed out, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. I'm just particular in that way. Now our T, again, another super simple one. We love those. U, what we're gonna do is duplicate that O and erase what we don't need. So we don't need that top portion of the O. So here we go, erasing, and then we're just gonna add those lines up on the sides. So here's the first one. Here is the second one. There we go. V, again, another easy one. So you just meet down the middle. And again, you just want to try to be as symmetrical as possible. W, we are going to start in the middle down and do a little arrow type of vibe. Then you're going to bring it down on the left and the right. And here is our W. X, another easy one. We love X, don't we? Y is already done, and here is going to be our Z, top, across, and bottom. Super simple. So then I decided to just add them all together to see what it would look like because I thought it would be interesting. So here is every single letter in the alphabet put together in a name block, which I thought looked pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically it. Let me know if there's anything you want to see or if you have any questions, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Bye guys.